Hello and welcome to the HCA's edition of What to Stream. Go ahead, Joel. Do the little theme song.
What to stream? Wondering what to see on your TV? Watch what to stream.
Love it. I think we need to incorporate that. Hello, I am Kit Bowen of the Movie Kit on Twitter. And it's my very pleasure to be hosting this for the first time with my all-time best friend, Joel Amos. Joel, who's in Spokane, Washington. We've been good friends for a very long time, so I'm very excited to do the show with you, Joel. How are you doing?
Most triumphant.
That's a good. I think I need to use that. Most triumphant.
Yep.
So anyway, we're going to talk about some of the current streaming shows that we are very excited about, and shows and movies actually that are currently streaming. First off, we're going to talk about the very creepy horror flick Malignant, which is now streaming on HBO and HBO Max as well. And it let me just get the I have my husband here. He's bothering me. And,
bothering yourself.
actually, why am I getting that? Anyway, I can't bring it up. Can you bring it up on your computer?
Yeah, sure. It's directed by James Wan, who got his start in horror and then moved on to Fast and the Furious and Aquaman. It's a story by James and also Ingrid Basu and Akila Cooper. The summary is Madison is paralyzed by shocking visions of grisly murders, and her torment worsens as she discovers that these waking dreams are in fact terrifying realities. It stars Annabella Wallace in a star-making turn.
Yes. So I'll let you start off. Obviously we're not going to give too much away with this because there is some amazing stuff that goes on in there that everyone needs to experience for the first time. But Joel, tell us, what did you think of Malignant?
I think that the big takeaway is James Wan. James Wan is a force of nature. The guy has an eye, and yeah, he can do big blockbuster movies, but his bread and butter is horror. And he did the Conjuring movies and all those movies and Saw and things like that. But they're just little things that, like, the way he shoots is just so it's so horrifying. I mean, you don't even have to have the volume on, and what you see is spooky. I mean, the way he has an overhead shot of a blender that turns on by itself, and then when it shuts off by itself, and just that blade slowly stopping, and you're like, okay. There's a shot where she's running through the house, utterly terrified, and he is above the set, shooting over room to room to room to room as they follow her in utter terror, and that adds so many layers to the fear, because it's like it's palpable, but it's at a distance. But yeah, you can really feel what she's going through because of the performance by Wallace. She carries this movie, and it is a star-making turn. There's a reason why people are buzzing about it. It is something special. Now, some people don't care for it, but I think that's a case of when you have James Wan and you're a horror master, the expectations are extremely high. And this is being advertised as a new vision of horror. And it is. This is an audience that has seen everything. I mean,
Yep.
Everything. And he brings some very unique angles to the terrifying way of telling a tale. And you don't even want to talk about the plot at all, because I love trailers. I used to watch that show on E that was just nothing but trailers for half an hour. I never saw the trailer for this. There was something about it that I said, no, I need to go in fresh. And I'm really glad I did. And so the little you know about it, the better. But know this: if you like scary movies, if you like James Wan, and you like strong female protagonists thrown into the most incredible situations, turn on HBO Max and watch Malignant.
Yeah, Annabelle Wallis, she was also in that first Annabelle movie, which actually wasn't as great as the following two, but I think most people now love the second one, the creation, whatever the how she was created. But yeah, so she's in that universe, and I'm sure James Wan, is like wanted to use her, and she does turn in an amazing performance. Now it's interesting because I agree with you. Visually, Wan is just spot on with what he does. I mean, not only that overhead shot, but also because Annabelle's character, she is sort of tormented by this, we're not quite sure what this entity is that she's being terrified, but she's having visions of what this, thing is doing, basically killing people. And I loved that part of it where the whole room, I mean, the way he kind of melted the room, and she's, she's suddenly in this other space, but the way he changes the scene and whatnot when she's watching this horrifying thing happen. So yeah, visually I was just I thought it was amazing. Story wise, I was a little at first I was like, okay, like again, like you said, been there, done that. Is this a ghost? Is it a demon? What is the deal here? And I was still horrified by it, and it's pretty violent.
Yeah.
And the thing is so weird. Oh my God, when those monsters are like, oh, and they crack their back and walk. Oh, I hate that. It's just there's something about that. But again, I wasn't necessarily like, okay, this is effective, but I'm not blown away by it. But just like an M. Night Shyamalan situation, you're like, what? And there is an amazing twist. And in that twist, if you don't gasp out loud, then I don't know what's wrong with you. Because because you kind of discover it at the same time as some of the other characters discover it, and they all gasp too, and you're like, oh! So I'm telling you, it's one of the best horror twists I've seen in a very long time. Very long time. So
you will not see it coming.
And I really kind of like some of the other supporting cast in it as well. The sister, played by Maddie Hassan, she was good. Also, I really like the guy, George Young is his name, and I've never seen him before. He plays one of the detectives.
Very a sensitive performance. There was a real sensitivity there, and that's what I think a horror movie needs. I think a horror movie needs a very sympathetic, sensitive character who has one eyebrow up, who's very grounded in science and reality, but yet believes the protagonist in some way.
Right.
And we got that with him.
And he's very cute too. Like, who are you? Why haven't I seen you before?
Well, and there's an unspoken attraction between the sister and him that they don't really act on, but like there's a little spark there.
Oh yeah. They're gonna totally get together later. You can tell that for sure. But again, is this the first time James Wan has directed a horror film in a long time? Is that kind of
he did a little blockbuster detour and had some incredible success, and he just missed it. And he had this idea, and he said, I have to tell this story myself. Right. So good on him, and he's certainly got the Hollywood cred to do whatever he wants.
Right.
I mean, we've seen some set photos from Aquaman 2 right now, so he went from one thing right to another, and good for him. But and I hope he comes back again, because he's got a lot to say.
He does, and he really does have an amazing grasp on horror. And I mean, I really feel like with him and Blumhouse, getting together and sort of, turning the horror genre into a whole new ball of wax, from Insidious to Conjuring to Saw.
Even Freaky.
That's right. Well, Blumhouse is, every time you see Blumhouse attached to any horror movie, you know you have at least half a good shot there of it being pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of cool that the way horror has become such a you know, such a great genre that's not only, you know, still scaring us, but telling some great stories. So
Yeah, I remember a horror director once, or Blumhouse, actually, Jason Blumhouse once told me that like sports movies and like other movies that are very genre based, it's a priceless opportunity to talk about something else other than horror, and using
yeah,
horror as a vessel to reach people with that message. And
right.
I'm not sure what the message is on Malignant, but there's one there.
I really do want to say something like, you know, but I'm not going to give it. Nope. It's definitely you gotta watch it to see what the hell's going on. So definitely check out Malignant, which is, like I said, streaming on HBO Max right now. The next one we're going to talk about is Kate, which is streaming on Netflix. It is an action thriller. The description: a female assassin has 24 hours to get vengeance on her murderer before she dies. It stars the very now one of my all-time favorite new action heroes, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, as the assassin who has to find her killers, basically. Also, Woody Harrelson's in it. Michelle Huisman, and a slew of really great Japanese actors, including the young girl who plays sort of her sidekick, Miku Patricia Martin. I think that's how you say her name. I'll let you start us off on this one too. I mean, what did you think of Kate?
I had a blast. I mean, this is not the kind of movie you go in expecting, oh, okay, who's going to win awards on this? I mean, this is a thrill second. This is, I say it reminds me of Crank, but like it's not.
Yes.
It's not. It's better. It's so much better. But it's that, you know, that time is ticking, and I'll never forget that famous Alfred Hitchcock quote where he's talking about the key to suspense. And for him, you have two people talking about baseball, and then the camera shows a bomb under the table, and you're like, "Stop talking about baseball! There's a bomb under your table." And so, like, I love movies like that where you know there's a timer, there's an end game, there's an end, and there's a woman on a mission, and that woman is Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and she kicks some serious butt, and she's a trained assassin, trained by Woody Harrelson, raised since she was a girl, and she knows no other life other than this, and then something happens, and it changes her just a bit, and it's all related, and I love that about this story. That there's nothing frivolous about it.
Right.
Everything is connected. And the relationship between Kate and this young Japanese teenager is priceless. It is just priceless. Of course, they start there like this, but then that they see a common ground. And just, I loved watching that grow. I loved Mary doing her thing. I liked Woody doing his thing. We've seen Woody play this character before. But there's some twists in this film as well, and that it's all handled very well by the actors. There are no cards that are given away earlier on. And I think probably the most impressive, besides Mary Elizabeth Winstead's action mojo, is how it was shot. I don't think Tokyo has ever looked so gorgeous. The neon lights, it is incredibly hardcore violent. But it's also beautiful, and it's like violence as ballet. And when you have these soft neon lights behind you as you're doing these things, it adds something to it that's undescribable. And I was all in, and especially because it's streaming on Netflix and you can just sit in your couch and watch it. I cannot recommend it enough because it's just fun.
Yeah, I agree. It was, you know, an action thriller is an action thriller, you know, and if it works, I don't care if I've seen this 1,000 million times before. I'm down.
I'm there.
I mean, you know, in this case, it's, yes, like you said, it takes place in Tokyo, and so you've got all of those elements involved, the sort of rainy, you know, slick streets, and the it felt very Blade Runner-ish at times.
And the Tokyo Mafia.
Yes. Well, yes. But it really is all about Mary Elizabeth Winstead. And I guess, I have been really liking her for
Long time.
For a long, long time. I think she's, of course, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I think really that was sort of her breakthrough in a way. I mean, as far as people really loving her. But I don't know if you saw the one season of Fargo that she did with Ewan McGregor. Oh my God, she was so good in that. But the action stuff really kind of has been sort of newer in her repertoire. But of course, Birds of Prey, she was kick ass in that. I even loved her in
10 Cloverfield Lane.
Oh, 10 Cloverfield Lane. Oh my gosh.
She's something else in that.
That's really a good one. I was just talking about that one today earlier, actually. Out of all the Cloverfields.
Out of all those Cloverfields.
Because it really kind of just flipped the switch on what the original was like, right? And it became more of a human, scary with humans rather than the monster part of it. Anyway, but I've lost my train of thought. I was trying to think of the other movie that I really liked her. Death Proof.
Yes.
A little small part in that, but she was fantastic. Anyway, she's definitely has got chops all the way around. And I think this action thing is great for her.
Who would have thought?
Right?
I mean, if you had asked me 10 years ago if Mary Elizabeth Winstead would be an action heroine, I would have said, I love her, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Holy moly. I mean, what she does in this movie in particular and in Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
Birds of Prey, sorry. She just grabs you by the lapels and does not let you go. And
nope.
That is exactly what you need.
Well, she's super, smooth about it. But, it is a story that you have seen before. I mean, obviously, the young girl trained to be an assassin kind of situation is not new. I guess La Femme Nikita has kind of started that trend, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good one.
Yeah. But there's another one that came out on Netflix. What was it? A few months ago with
Jolt.
Jolt. Oh, with Kate Beckinsale.
She's another one.
Yeah, definitely check out Jolt as well. You might want to do a double feature. I think Jolt's on Netflix.
It'd be a great double feature.
Isn't Jolt on Netflix too? It is, right?
Amazon.
Oh, Amazon. All right. Well, if you're streaming, you got them all.
Switch it back, yeah.
Just switch them back. Yeah, I mean, this was fun. And like you said, really what kind of separated this from all the other ones is the relationship with the young teenager, and she was also very, very feisty and spicy, and you didn't expect that, because you kind of are introduced to her earlier on, and you're like, oh, she's going to be this kind of a character, but nope, she's not. She's very spunky, and
I love what she calls Kate. I will not repeat it here.
Oh yeah,
because this is a family program. But she repeats it over and over, maybe 3 times, and it is pitch perfect.
Yeah, it is. It is. So yeah, that is a lot of fun. It's directed by sort of a newer director. I mean, he did The Huntsman: Winter's War, so I guess that was the sequel to The Huntsman. So not necessarily the strongest of recommendations, but he certainly understands the action part. I thought he handled all of that really well with this. So his name is Cedric Nicholas Trohan.
And I also there's a mystery element to it. Like, she's been poisoned, and she's been poisoned by uranium. So there's no antidote.
No, it's not a happy thing.
She has to figure out who poisoned her. And I love that aspect too. I mean, there's action throughout, but there's a mystery there, and she has to solve it. And again, time is ticking.
Right. Like Crank or something like that. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. It's definitely an action thriller that I would recommend for sure. And you know what? Netflix is full of them, but certainly this one stands out for me anyway. So
yeah.
Okay, so moving on, we're going to talk about a miniseries, I guess. It's a 5-act miniseries called Scenes from a Marriage. It got, was it at Venice Film Festival that it was premiered? Yeah, and everyone kept talking about how Oscar Isaac was kissing on Jessica Chastain's arm. Just pretty sexy. If you saw they were on the red carpet together, you're like, They are both married to other people, but there's some familiarity there. Of course, I could have just been playing. Anyway, this is actually it's on HBO, but of course you can see the first episode on HBO Max. But each Sunday will be a new episode, and I said that it's 5 acts. It examines the iconic depiction of love, hatred, desire, monogamy, marriage, and divorce through the lens of a contemporary American couple. It is sort of a loosely based remake of the Ingmar Bergman Swedish. I think it was also a television miniseries, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what he did. Yeah. Along with Jessica Chastain and Oscar Isaac, who play the couple, there's also Nicole Bahari, Corey Stoll, Sunita Mani, and then I'm just waiting for the next episode. So I saw the first episode, and I can understand why everyone's talking about, the performances being pretty spectacular. I would imagine this will probably be on the Emmys list next year. And or the Globes, any TV stuff coming up. I have a feeling they'll both be nominated. I mean, it is very Bergman in the way that it's basically these two people having a conversation throughout the whole thing, but also what ends up happening, and so it starts off on takes place on a particular day in their lives, and the first episode. And something happens, and they're being interviewed by this woman who's doing a thesis on marriage and success of marriage. And that scene alone, that opening scene, was, the two of them talking about it, and you can cut the tension with the knife, and you're like, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, obviously. I have a feeling it's not going to end happily, but maybe it will. I don't know. But you can see Jessica. I mean, just the two actors are just tremendous in the subtleties that they do, and because it's really hard to do something like this where it is basically there is no other extra environment around you. It is the two of you doing these scenes together. You know what I mean? And I feel like as an actor, of course, it's incredibly challenging and I'm sure very fulfilling. It's like doing a play, but just to watch the emotions that are running across both of these people's faces, especially Jessica Chastain. I think she's a very interesting actress. I don't necessarily love her in everything that she does, but some of the things that when she does it really well, she just hits you over the head with it. I mean, I remember The Help. I remember she was like everywhere there for a hot minute. She was like in all these different movies, and you didn't even know it was the same actress. It was The Help, and then Mama. Remember Mama? That horror film. I loved that movie. Anyway, so yeah, I was really impressed by her in this, and I can tell I'm going to be very impressed. But Oscar Isaac too. I mean, he's just another actor that can do just about anything. And I feel like the two of them must just really be loving having gotten this chance to do this, because I feel like they both really are stepping up. So I'm curious to see how it goes. But on that, I'm also knowing that it's going to be probably hard to watch, being that I am married myself. Everyone you're married. I mean, we're all going to spot things that may make us uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So,
Well, reminds me, as an actor, I think it would be, you got a script like this and you just want to dive in. And Oscar Isaac and Jessica Chastain, their names alone will get me to watch whatever they're in. I mean, it may not be the best, but I know they're going to give us their best. And, there's some potential for some real thespian fireworks
Yes.
in a landscape like this, and it reminds me of that scene in Marriage Story, or A Marriage Story, yeah, with where she comes over to his apartment and it's kind of finally over. That'll wreck your heart. That scene still affects me to this day, and I think there's something about that landscape for actors that are just so rich.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. You're really gonna love it. And it's created and written and directed by an Israeli director writer called Hagai Levy, I think Levy, who also did In Treatment, which is another. I haven't watched the latest iteration of In Treatment, but I really loved the first one with Gabriel Byrne. I for some reason, again, it was just really got you. And again, it was all about conversations, you know. So he's treating certain people each season. It's like, you know, 3 or 4 people, and you see their arcs. And then he's also goes to a therapist who's played by Diane Wiest, and you know, and how, you know, he's dealing with all of that. Anyway, so this guy clearly understands and knows the dynamics of you know, of being human and being, you know, a couple or whatnot. I can see the influences that he's had doing some of his other work in this. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I will definitely watch the next episode. But if it starts to get too uncomfortable for me, I'm not sure. You know, it's just that kind of stuff is just hard. I remember talking to my mom about it. She's like, I don't know about that one because I kind of lived it, so I don't know if I want to watch it. But yeah, it's really very well done, and it's definitely going to win some awards, I would imagine. So, so next we're going to talk about why The Last Man, which I think got talked about on one of our other shows, but I watched the first 3 episodes of that, and it is a sort of, I guess it's based on a comic book or a graphic novel, and it's set in a post-apocalyptic world where the last surviving male human on the planet is trying to make his way to his family. It stars Diane Lane, who does that woman, I mean, she's just unbelievable and so gorgeous, you know.
She doesn't age.
She doesn't. She's just amazing. So Diane Lane plays, she was a senator who becomes president after this sort of weird deal where all the men, even male animals, so every male, any Y chromosome in the, isn't it Y or no X? Who's men? Men is X, men is Y. What is it?
Yes.
I think that's what the Y stands for. I think it's the men, or is it the women? I can't remember. Anyway, every male on the planet, human and or animal, die in this weird way. So I'm 3 episodes in. I guess it's streaming on Hulu, FX Hulu. It's a new episode every Monday. You know, I don't know. I haven't gotten to the mystery yet. I haven't found out why and how did it happen, and is it a biological warfare? Blah blah blah. But you know what I find very interesting about it is that even though it's all women now on the planet, we still freak out and we start riots. So I thought it's kind of interesting. It's like, well, would we really storm the White House like that? Yeah, I guess we would if we were scared. I mean, I don't know how violent we would be all together, but certainly, you know, we want some answers. Let me just say that. Also in it is Olivia Thirlby, Ashley Romans, Ben Schnetzer. He plays the one guy who lives, so we're not sure why. But yeah, it's got a great cast, starting with, of course, Diane Lane. But Olivia Thirlby is actually really good in it as well. She's from Juno and some other films. But yeah, I'm curious to see what the mystery is all about. I mean, up to this point, it's just trying to stabilize the world, you know. But obviously, we'll have to get to the nitty gritty of it. But I'm intrigued. It hooked me. Did you watch the trailer?
I haven't seen a thing about it actually, and I think it's going to be one of those things where I go in blind because the description has certainly gotten me.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's kind of a fascinating, look at a different look at post-apocalyptic, where women are taken over. Of course, I kind of mentioned to my I kind of mentioned to my husband, I'm watching something where all the men die, and then I go and I kind of laughed. But then I thought, no, well, I wouldn't want my son to die, of course, but Steve, that's a whole different ball of wax. But Max will be the lone survivor. So anyway. So yeah, so like I said, I think it's very intriguing, and I think if you kind of like those post-apocalyptic kind of shows, that's also has some mystery on it. There's dynamic between characters, and because Olivia's character, she's the daughter of Diane Lane, so and the son who is the lone survivor is also the son of Diane Lane. So there you go. So it's all interconnected. You do have some side stories going on, but mostly it's kind of all revolving around the same interconnectedness. So anyway, it's good.
Cool.
Okay, so we're going to also just quickly talk about two sort of documentary style and also an anniversary, 20th anniversary of the Band of Brothers. Wow. That is a miniseries that we will watch. My husband loves that, and he will watch it every year for Memorial Day, because I used to think HBO used to rerun it, on Memorial Day, but it's the 20th anniversary of it. And was there a special feature about it?
Well, there's two things. There's a podcast out now with Tom Hanks, who's one of the executive producers, that goes deep inside the making of it. There's a slew of information that's come out about Major Winters, who was the leader of Easy Company. And I just watched it again myself to celebrate the 20th anniversary. Plus, I also watch it every year. And after seeing it, I was just a sobbing mess. I mean, it's only 10 episodes, but it's like you are in these people's lives. I've never seen anything like it. I keep saying this again and again. I love the Breaking Bads. I love Sopranos. I love Mad Men. But I think the Band of Brothers is the best thing I've ever seen on television. And I don't think I can put it any more clearer than that. And it just gets you from their training. I mean, it's unreal what these men did. I mean, they parachuted into Normandy. They fought at the Battle of the Bulge. They liberated the first concentration camp. They battled in Holland. They took the Eagle's Nest from Hitler. I mean, it's like their story is the story of World War II.
Yeah.
And it's Ron Livingston. Damian Lewis is amazing as Major Winters. There's small roles. You realize it was 20 years ago, but I recognized them this time watching. There's small roles for Tom Hardy and Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yep.
It's got a phenomenal cast. Like I said, you become very attached to these characters. And of course, being war, not everybody survives. And so you get very emotional on occasion, but there's a lot of triumph. I mean, after all, we know we won the war. But, there's the episode called Why We Fight. And as a Jew, it hit especially home. I mean, when he's yelling at the German soldiers who have surrendered, why are we fighting? Why are we fighting? And then later in that episode, they come across the concentration camp. Nothing really needs to be said. It's just all right there. And they deal with the realities of coming back to life. And each show starts with interviews with the real guys.
Right.
Which really puts things in concept. And there's something that's said at the end. At this point, it's a 20-year anniversary. It's not a spoiler. But Major Winters was asked by his grandson, "Are you a hero?" And he said, "No, but I served in a company of heroes."
Ooh. Yikes.
So it's on HBO right now. It's the 20th anniversary. If you haven't seen it, this is must-see television. If you've seen it before, watch it again.
Yeah, it is absolutely one you can watch over and over again. The theme song alone gets you going, I mean, it's just, it is, I think it is a constant, as far as the series is concerned, it is like the story of World War II, I mean, Saving Private Ryan's another one for me. I feel like that one also, I mean, even though it's a smaller storytelling, story more intimate, but it encapsulates, the what those men went through. But yeah, Band of Brothers, it's just so engaging, and yeah, like the ensemble cast is tremendous. Donnie Wahlberg.
Donnie
I mean,
Wahlberg.
yeah, just everybody is just unbelievably, and I'm sure those actors, and Tom Hanks, of course, who produced it, executive produced it, they'll always remember this and would always probably love to talk about making this, 20 years later kind of thing.
Yeah. That podcast is something to listen to, especially
Yeah.
Tom Hanks, who we know is a World War II buff, and his insight into it and the research that went into it. And Richard Ambrose, who the book was based on, is one of the best historical writers the America has. And if there was a person to chronicle the story of Easy Company, it was him.
Yeah. So definitely check that one out. And then last, we're going to talk real quick about a James Bond look at Daniel Craig as James Bond, called Being James Bond, which is on Apple TV Plus. Tell us about that.
It's a 15-year retrospective, essentially. It's his last James Bond movie. It's looking back at his experience. I don't want to give anything away because for Bond fans, secrecy is the key. But it's a great look at his tenure, his 15-year tenure. It also kind of gets you thinking about who's next on this. It also kind of reminded me of a question I asked him once in an interview when I said, "You've been all over the world as this character. What's the most memorable thing you'll ever take away from playing James Bond?" You know what he said?
What?
Trying to film a scene in the Venice Canal and having all the what are they called?
Gondolas?
Gondola drivers swear at them in Italian for ruining their tips. That was his favorite.
That was the takeaway?
That was the takeaway. So anyway, yeah, if you like James Bond, if you like Daniel Craig, do not miss Apple Plus. Look at Being James Bond. It's the ultimate tribute to Daniel Craig, who personally I think may be the best Bond.
Really? I don't know. I think you're right. He's definitely up there. If not,
With Sean.
Yeah, he's kind of neck and neck with Sean.
Yeah.
Although it's so funny. I can't remember what I watched recently. It wasn't Goldfinger, which is probably my favorite. Maybe You Only Live Twice. It's not the one where he's the Japanese. They pretend like they fake his death, and then he goes to Japan and falls in love with that Japanese woman. Does that You Only Live Twice?
You only live twice.
You only live. Anyway, they're a little dated.
A little dated, but each Bond was perfect for that time period.
That's true. Roger Moore is probably my least favorite, but because that was so Mr. silly.
Kitsch.
He was, it was just silliness.
And
although Pierce Brosnan started off more serious and then got really kitschy there towards the end, so it's not his fault either. Daniel Craig has kept it pretty real, I have to say, very, very gritty. Skyfall's my favorite of his.
Me too.
I mean,
that just hits you here.
Although No Time to Die looks pretty good. Although now I have to wait a little longer to watch it, to see it, but just a little bit. Well, I think that should do it for us. I'm not sure how long this is supposed to last, but we're almost like at the 40-minute mark here, so I think we're good. There's a lot of other streaming stuff out there, though, that I saw something else. Like, oh yeah, we should probably talk about that too, but clearly, I mean, it's a booming world on the streaming market, and there's you can go to any one of them and say, oh, what's that? And just click on it. Oh, I know what I was going to talk about. Impeachment, the American Crime Story.
American Crime Stories have been incredible. Those stories have been amazing television. I cannot wait to dive into this. And there's a phrase, people talk about television's golden age. I think we've gone past platinum. We're in titanium. I mean, TV right now is where it's at. So this is the show you need to watch to keep you tuned into that. Yes,
absolutely. So hopefully we'll be able to come back and do another show for you guys in a couple of weeks. But thank you for joining us. Thank you, Joel, of course, for doing this. And you can check out all of our shows on our YouTube channel for Hollywood Critics Association. We've got some great different shows. What's Trending, Long Box, Pop Council. So a lot of great shows to enjoy. So thanks everyone for joining in, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.